Welcome to another episode of Transform with Neha. We've got the amazing Dr. Mickey Mehta here with us. And I don't know if I have enough words to do justice to his, lineage of achievements and accomplishments over the course of his 40-year journey. He has been the recipient of the Economic Times Health and Wellness Icon of India Award. He has authored multiple books, the Shoonyam Quotient, Lose Weight, Gain Shape, and we have a few more books that are going to be coming our way shortly. He's also the only Indian to have an honorary double doctorate in holistic health and life sciences in integrated medicines. He's also first fitness trainer of the country, the first fitness columnist, the first fitness TV and radio presenter. He has been a fitness trainer and guru and mentor to India Inc., the top billionaires, celebrities, Bollywood, Miss Indias, Miss Universes, you name it. He has been there. He's also had the very rare distinction of training the Indian Army, Navy, Air Force, and the police. And he's also spoken at Harvard, IIT, IIMs, the author, the poet, the philosopher, the guide, the mentor, the brand institute, the legendary Dr. Mickey Mehta. The big question for today is how to overcome addictions. I have a confession to make. I have an addiction, right? And I'm totally okay sharing that with the world. I used to be a smoker. I gave that up with a lot of difficulty, and with my partner, my husband, being so supportive in that journey. And somewhere along that journey, Mickey, I picked up another addiction, which was the hookah, right? And now I really want to get over it. And I suddenly realized is that there are so many people out there who are dealing with some addiction or the other. It could be alcohol, it could be drugs. So let's begin with, what is it that creates an addictive personality?
Okay. So wherever there are gaps in our lives, we need to fill those gaps with something that will console us, soothe us at that point in time. So for a baby in the arm, a pat on the back becomes an addiction. So baby always cries for a pat on the back. For a baby in the arm, mother's milk becomes an addiction. But for somebody who lives in awareness and consciousness, breath becomes his addiction or her addiction. Nature becomes the addiction. So as you cleanse yourself, as you purify yourself, as you rise higher on the ladder of evolution, and on the ladder of evolution, we human beings with our consciousness can rise above gods and fall below animals. So addiction is about slipping on that ladder downwards towards instincts, towards something we cannot do without. So animals instinctively are completely programmed, but when human beings, they stood on their 2 feet, the left and the right hemisphere of brain, they started functioning as one. That is the time consciousness happened. Because when they got vertical, the gravitational pull lessened. An upsurge of consciousness moved from tailbone to higher. So we could analyze, we could have perspectives, we could have perceptions, we could create fire, we could create music, we could write poetry, songs. There were emotions. There was crying, there was laughter, there was screaming. So it is because of this consciousness. So if you allow your consciousness to rise, or if you consciously elevate your consciousness, you leave your addictions behind. So in Sanskrit, there is a philosophy called Vairagya. Vairagya is not social distancing, but distancing from desires. We will have this. We will have desires. We will have aspirations. But to have a die-hard outcome for that aspiration takes us down the ladder. To be aware of your aspiration, aware of your desire, and leaving it. It is said that if you desire and aspire, seed it on the banks of time and allow nature, with passing time and tide, for them to become enchanting forests, fragrant gardens, or sweet orchards. of whatever you seed. But the desperation of the outcome becomes addiction. So coming to the point of now intoxicating yourself with the real highs of life. Have you ever tried smelling the orange rind? Cut open an orange and sniff it. Taste the sweet juice of it and leave it in your mouth and process it. Gulp it. Take a flower and smell it. Every morning, listen to the chirping of the birds with attention, and they will stimulate and trigger some activity, some flow, some hormone in you. Looking into the vastness of the blue sky, the infinite expanse will trigger the sentiment of infinity in you. Now, these are the things which will give you high gradually. So when you rise above the trivia and seek your highs from the highs of life, you get disconnected from the compulsions of doing things as addiction, and you will get more and more connected to live in freedom and choose what you want to do, when you want to do, to being a master of it. So I spoke to you about a vision, sky, which gives you a sense of infinity, eternity. So which brings hope, confidence, security, self-conviction, faith. Then I told you about listening to the chirping of the birds, which triggers happy hormones and joy, which also brings back rhythm of life, brings back the rhythm of the beat of the heart and the flow in the body. These are the memories when you build your body, your mind, your spirit wants more of it. Hankering for that will neutralize the hankering for which that destroys you. So hankering that for which it creates, you create life force into you. And then hankering for sparsh, touch. So like a child, like a friend, like someone you love, respect, regard, like your parents, like your spouse. And that touch, gives rise to that oneness. And those, glands and hormones and oxytocin, when that's secreted inside you, energy, serotonin, when secretes inside you, and that is the high we are hankering for. So when you hanker and move towards upwards, evolution, and that is the time you will not point downwards towards destruction. So intoxication of the breath that you breathe and enjoying that, celebrating it. So that's one. And practicing silence, observing yourself and observing everything around you. That's also intoxicating because as it grows on you. And all the five senses which I spoke to you about. And most important thing, being in love with this universe. The more you are in love with the whole, the less you will be in love with the parts, which includes hookah, which includes tobacco, which includes a cigarette, which includes a bottle, which includes weed, which includes hash, which includes coke, which includes everything. Your high on life should come out of being you, being vibrant, being radiant, and always connected to this universe and the forces. And you should be intoxicated with them.
I remember a few years ago when our paths crossed, and at that time I was smoking. And you said to me something that actually stayed with me because you brought something into my awareness which I had never thought about, right? You said to me, Mickey, that Neha, for every cigarette that you have, you're exhaling so much carbon dioxide, or and the damage you're creating in the environment and nature is building on your negative karma. And I have to tell you, and thank you for that statement, because I think somewhere something happened in here that I was very mindful of every cigarette that I took. And at some point down that road, I also was able to leave that habit. So I don't know if, this is a platform that we can use where you can share some insights of what are the kind of causes that we are creating, by maybe addictions. beyond the impact that it's doing to our physical bodies.
Okay. So you pick up the cigarette like this, right?
Get up like this.
Okay.
I used to.
But when you drop your cigarette, this is it. V for victory.
Oh.
Also remember, so when I spoke about karma, there are a few lines of karma once I wrote. From USA to Burma, king is the karma. When karma goes for a toss, your life is at a loss. Even Christ had to carry his own cross. Nobody spared. So, you know why I told you that? Had I told you that, look, with every puff, you're going to destroy your lungs, it wouldn't have mattered so much as much when I told you that with every breath out of carbon dioxide, you're destroying this universe. So the appeal has to be done in a way never with a cane, always with a sentiment of care, a sentiment of share, a sentiment of connect, so that the person will be reminded of it for life.
Yes.
I'm happy it worked. I work with Alcoholic Anonymous few groups. And for some families, I would do one-on-one for drug addicts, for smoking addicts, and for drinking addicts or alcohol addicts. And I have great results only with love. It has never worked with force. Only compassion, only sympathy, only empathy. There's a lovely word in Hindi for empathy. Antar sahanbhuti. Antrik sahanbhuti. You care for each other because with that connect of share care. That is what gets the person on your side, because you get on the side of the person and see the life from those eyes and feel the shoe from their legs. Only then you would be able to give them better solutions.
I'm glad that you mentioned that you're, doing these sessions. So I'm going to put all Dr. Mickey Mehta's deets in the description box below, or it'll be flashing on your screens. And, if you feel that you have an addiction or there's something that you want to work on, with Dr. Mickey Mehta, I can say on his behalf that do reach out to him, and, he's going to be there for you. But Mickey, I have one more question for you. I've often wondered is, when we know as human beings that things are not good for us, I mean, we know a cigarette is not good for us. We know that today, being on social media so much and, having such a huge digital presence is not good for you. We know that's a different kind of addiction as well, right?
Very much.
We know that alcohol is not good for you. I mean, we know drugs are not good for you. We know, Coke, MDMA and all that jazz is not good for you. And yet we do it anyway. And we can't, for some reason, knowing all of it, not do it. Yeah. So sometimes I wonder, do we not respect ourselves enough?
Let me tell you something. That one is a knowledge of your clinical awareness that cigarette smoking is not good for health, injurious to health. And one is the knowledge of your experience, which has become your blood, bone, and marrow. So knowledge of experience is more superior to the knowledge of otherwise, just read. So in Hindi it is said, कि दूध का जला छाछ फूक मार मार के पीता है. Somebody who's burned out of hot milk will always want to even, cool down buttermilk and have it. Because that's experience. So it is called anubhav. So it is called anubhav and anubhuti. So anubhuti and anubhav are interrelated with experiential learning. And this experiential learning tells you all and makes you do things which are appropriate and not appropriate. Nevertheless, out of our compulsions of habits per force, we still might do it till we need stronger jolts and wake-up calls. but it would be late. So many a times we don't realize that we keep repeating our mistakes despite small learnings till there is a big awakening and big jolt, and then we are shaken up, and perhaps sometimes it is too late. So, slowing down. If you remember, I had told you that even before you pick up a cigarette, wait, watch, take 7 breaths. Those 7 breaths, that gap between your impulse of picking up the cigarette and lighting it and holding it, will be your gap of transformation. You will teleport, and by, maybe that cigarette you will take 10 puffs. Maybe the next you will take 7. Maybe then next you will take 5 and 4 and 3. And your consciousness will never move you towards cigarette thereafter. Of course, there are therapies to be done, which I do with my personal private clients. So the therapies of fragrance, the therapies of touch, the therapies of food, the therapies of visions, the therapies of audio, visual, olfactory, all put together. Sometimes I combine 5 senses therapies to work, so that intoxication of the senses takes you away from the intoxication of the otherwise abuses. So you don't need to fulfill your life with alcohol, cigarette, weed, dope anymore. You get me? So you fulfill yourself with natural elements and essences of life, and lesser is the craving for the nonsense of life. So essence versus nonsense. That's the way to do it. And very important that we can mentally weed out. We can mentally weed out. Like if you remember in our last session, we weeded out our fears, phobias. We consciously weeded out our hatred. We consciously weeded out our anxieties, our depression. We consciously weeded out our despair. And we seeded hope. We seeded love. So weeding and seeding has to be simultaneous. So in your mind, if you start weeding, your consciousness will move you towards, such situations where you will be very comfortable not indulging again and again. And at least it will not go, it will taper. Now, I'll give you 10 commandments, my parting gift. So, commandment number 1. Commandment number 1. Let wellness be the religion number 1. Because religions divide, wellness unites. Wellness purifies, wellness integrates, wellness regulates, wellness revitalizes you. And in this state, your devotion becomes the utmost, or then you can become a better Hindu, better Muslim, better Christ, better Parsi, better Buddhist. Number 2, join Dr. Mickey Mehta's wellness revolution for human evolution. Why evolution? Because with purpose you evolve. So pursue your purpose and the universe will fulfill your dreams. Mark Twain said there are 2 most important days in human life. The day you are born, that's number 1. And number 2, when you realize why. Number 3, be firmly rooted in humility to be better rooted in humanity. Humility to 4. Number 4, have a collective vision for the world's growth. Number 5, have a sense of pride for everyone in this universe. Number 6, sleep every night with a wish to heal yourself. Wake up every morning with a promise to heal the world. Number 8, the best exercise for biceps is to uplift the poor. Number 9, the best exercise for shoulders is to take responsibilities of the underprivileged. And number 10, feel loss of eyes, to philosophize, to get energized, to get maximized, to get naturalized, to get optimized, to get internalized, to get eternalized, to get evolutionized, to get revolutionized, to get synergized, to get synchronized, to get mesmerized, to get hypnotized, to get initialized, to get specialized, all negativity neutralized, to get Mickeyized.
I have just got a hardcore 101 dose of what it means to get Mickey Mai. So thank you, Mickey, for joining us here. But we'll be back with Mickey next week as well
Love you all.
with another question for the TWN family. Until then, bye bye.